Welcome back, everyone. I have something that's a little bit different to share with you guys today. So this right here, this is Insta360 Flow. It's actually a gimbal for creating content on your phone. Right now, I've got it folded up, but once we attach our phone, you get this. So now it's deployed. You can still see that it's very easy to use. It's very small. Right now I'm running it in like a vertical mode, but we can also go into landscape just with the touch of a button. And yeah, we're good to go. So I want to talk about Insta360 Flow in this video. Insta360 has sponsored videos with me in the past. We've talked a lot about their action cameras and also their 360 cameras. They called me recently and said, we want to pitch you something that's like really different. And I was really interested in this. Obviously there are other phone gimbals that are already out there, but there's a couple things that I really like about this one a lot. First of all, it is super small, it is very compact, and second of all, the app enables you to do things not only to steady out and smooth out video footage you might do on your phone, but there's a lot of other things as well, including a few photography options. So in this video, we're gonna dig down and I wanna talk about the Insta360 Flow here. So when you first get the box, the packaging, I wanna point this out, it's really well thought out and very impressive. And you can see just how compact everything is. The box is closed with a small magnet, which actually mirrors flow. And this is important because everything in this gimbal is magnetic. There's no small screws, no little tiny parts to lose. Insta360 Flow has stickers on the unit that get you started really quickly in 3 steps. So we'll talk about how to use it and deploy it. It is super easy. So step 1, you're going to attach the clamp to your phone. And so what you want to do is just check the diagram on the side to make sure the camera's in the right position. Then step 2, you simply attach the clamp to the gimbal. The connection is magnetic. Step 3, you're going to open the gimbal by twisting the arm and the grip at the joint, and then Flow powers on. And once you have the app set up on your phone and you've paired it the first time, anytime you open it after that, you're going to get a notification on your phone giving you the option to open the app, and then you're connected. Of course, when you're done, you can power the gimbal off by closing the grip, or you can use the power button on the front dial if you want to leave it standing up for whatever reason. Now, I mentioned one of the great things about Insta360 Flow is the size. It's also completely customizable to suit how you like to work with it. So if you pull out the base of the gimbal, you're going to find 3 tripod legs for setting the gimbal down. You need more reach, just pull the arm away from the grip. This will give you not only the option to extend your phone further away, but it's also tiltable for various shots or angles that you might want to do. All right, so let's talk for a second about how you control the gimbal. And pretty much, you've got a 3-axis gimbal here, and so you've got tilt, roll, and pan. And what it does is it's going to sense your movements, and there's modes you can put it in. We'll get to those in just a second. But everything that you're going to use to control Insta360 Flow is right here on the hand grip, and you can do it all with one hand. So on the front of the grip, we have what we call the smart wheel. There's a joystick in the middle. The smart wheel itself, you can either press the buttons or you can swipe to change modes. There's also a ring around it. We use this for zooming. And on the back side of the grip, there is a trigger that provides functionality as well. So let's start with the smart wheel. So on the face of the smart wheel, you're going to see buttons for record, power, and orientation. This is very intuitive. So for instance, to start or stop a recording on your phone, you're going to simply press the record button. These buttons are also multifunctional. So for example, short pressing the power button will give you a battery life indication. A long press will power it on or off the unit. The orientation button has 3 levels. A single press will switch between the front or rear cameras on your phone. Double pressing the switch will switch between landscape and portrait orientation. And finally, 3 short presses of this button will switch between the video and stills mode in the app. So let's say you want to zoom in. You're going to use the dial on the side of the wheel to get a closer or wider angle shot. You can also swipe the smart wheel to toggle between the gimbal modes. So what do we mean by modes? Okay, so I mentioned earlier, this is what we call a 3-axis gimbal. So it controls movement on 3 different axes, and you can see that there are these points where you have hinges that turn. So you can control things like you control the roll, which would be side to side, or a turning of the phone. You can do panning, which is this way, or you could actually do tilt and shift, which is up or back. What the modes do is, depending on what it is that you want to shoot, it allows you to restrict some of those things. So in general, when I fire this up, it'll kind of follow where I want to move it. If I turn the handle, it'll pan. If I go up or back, it will kind of follow what I'm doing. And then right now the roll is locked off, but I could control the roll. So that's what these modes essentially are going to do. And there are actually 4 of them. So you can change between these modes by swiping the smart wheel to toggle toggle between them. Auto is going to be the default, and it's really the best setting for general usage. The next one is F. It stands for follow mode. And what this does is it locks the rotating axis, but it allows for side-to-side movement as well as up and down. This is great for follow types of shots. The next mode over is the FP, or follow pan mode. And what this does is it also locks the rotation, but it also locks the tilting. So this works great for panning shots if you're going to circle around a subject, or if you're panning to show context of a scene, something like that. It works really well. The FPV mode is next, and this is the first-person view, and what this does is it unlocks all of the axes. And so this is the one mode where we can actually do rotation. So if you wanted to simulate something like a drone or something like that, you can certainly get that kind of look to this. It's a lot of fun to use. Insta360 Flow works with you. In other words, it responds to your movements, but you can also control the gimbal further by using the joystick on the face of the smart wheel. I also want to note that any of these modes have two enhancements as well, and you get to these using the trigger on the front of the grip. So if you want to lock off your shot completely so the gimbal is not responsive at all to any of your movements, just simply click and hold it in. And what this does is it completely locks off everything, and it's going to keep your shot as smooth as it can possibly be. In other words, if you pan left or right, the phone won't pan with you. The other thing that you can do is make it extra responsive to your own movements, and we call this Active Plus. What you're going to do is double click but hold on the second click, and that will engage Active Plus. Both of these are engaged as long as you're holding in the trigger. As soon as you let go, it's going to go back to its standard mode state. Okay, I realize this sounds like a lot of functionality because quite frankly it is, but I promise you, once you start using Insta360 Flow, everything is very intuitive. It's very well thought out. It's where you think things are going to be. I think Insta360 has done an incredible job with the user interface on this. It's just really simple and it makes sense. Which brings us to the app. So the app, Insta360 Go, is probably one of the best implementations of an app for a camera that I've ever seen. And of course, this is actually using your phone's cameras. But the tutorials in here are excellent. It takes you step by step through how to do everything. If you're a total beginner and you're trying to figure out how to get better shots, you can use what they call Shot Genie. Once you open Shot Genie, it is voice responsive. So you can tell it things like, I'm at the park, or I'm at the beach, or something like that. This is actually really cool whether you're a beginner or not, because it's a great way to learn the gimbal. So what it does is it will give you a sample video using different techniques that you can do with the gimbal. And so as you go through each one of these, you say, I want to make this. It takes you step by step. It tells you how to do each one. At the end, what it's going to do is use its AI editor to put all this together. And then you have something that looks pretty professionally produced. And even if that's not what you want to do, I still recommend using Shot Genie. It's a great way to learn all the functionality of the gimbal. Another great feature of the app is tracking. This is some of the best tracking I've seen on any system, period. And so Insta360 are using what they call Deep Track 3.0. And what I love about this is that you can simply select an object by touching and then dragging the little green box around the object you want to track. And this locks it on in the center of the frame. You can do this with objects. You can also do it with animals and people. The really cool thing about this, and this is what I think separates Insta360 from other competitive solutions that do the same thing, is a lot of times they'll track, but they'll get confused because when you have multiple people in the shot, that's what makes it hard. This one's really good because it actually uses AI and its tracking algorithm, and it does not lose people. So if somebody turns their head to the back or something, or goes behind another person, it won't just decide to pick up the other person and throw an error. This is really awesome implementation of this system, and it's something that I think really puts this over the top. And one of my favorite things about tracking is not actually holding the gimbal at all, but using it as a tripod. If you're filming yourself, you turn the tracking on, and it allows you to move around the room, and the phone will just follow you. It's kind of like having an assistant. So if you're a one-person video crew like myself, this is something that's extremely useful. And probably one of my favorite features on this is the live mode that they have in here. So when you go into live mode, what you're going to do is hit start. You're going to open the app that you're broadcasting live in. This will work even in FaceTime on the iPhone. It'll work pretty much with anything that's using video. It runs in the background and the tracking stays on. So for instance, if you want to just put the gimbal down while you're cooking dinner or something and you're talking to somebody via FaceTime, you can put it down and it'll just sit there and track you and follow you, and you can always see your phone. You always see the person you're talking to. It's really cool. There's some great functionality in here too for still photographers. So in addition to the standard photo mode, we also have a pan photo mode, which allows you to do three different things. I can do a panoramic shot where it's going to just take 3 images and stitch them together in the app. I can also do a 180-degree panorama, which is really cool if you want an ultra-wide shot. It's going to use the great camera that's in your phone. The stitching is really good in here, and it will also do 360 panorama shots. And so this is something you'll actually have to mount the phone on the back side of the grip here. But what it does is it will go through and it will give you an actual 360 rotation of everything, and it gives you a 360 image that you can use. So let's talk about connectivity. So there are two USB ports on the gimbal. The one on the grip is used for charging your Flow, and there's a second USB port at the top of the arm, so it's right under the phone base. This one is an output, so you can use it to charge your phone, or you can power the included light that's designed especially for Flow. This is one of my favorite things. So what you're going to do is plug this into that second USB port, and then you attach the light to the side of the clamp. You can control the light via the two buttons on the top. And so one side controls the color temperature of the light, the other controls the brightness level. Oh, and before I forget, it's also worth noting that there is a small door on the back of the arm, and what this does is it reveals a cold shoe clamp, so you can attach accessories that you might want to use, like microphones, things like that. So a few thoughts and impressions on Insta360 Flow. So the first thing that I absolutely love about this is the size. When you fold it down, it's literally this big. This could go in a really large pocket, it could go in a purse, a bag really easily, and you're not that guy walking around with a stick for some arbitrary reason when you're not actually filming. And so that's the first thing I love about it. The second thing is that it unfolds so fast and you can deploy it just in a matter of seconds. And this is important because if there's something you want to film that's happening in front of you, what you don't want to do is miss the moment because you're trying to get the thing turned on. Everything is so well thought out and so seamless on this. I think they've done an amazing job. What I've been most impressed with is the functionality in the app. And there are things in here like, you know, using the live mode and stuff like that, that just, it makes this so useful, not only as a gimbal for steadying shots, but as a tool for actual filmmaking. You know, we're in a day and age where cameras on phones have gotten so good and they do so much. And I think this is where it becomes difficult when you're coming up with extra solutions for things, because it does pretty well. But the truth is that if I'm filming myself, my arm isn't long enough and it's awkward to hold the phone out. So it's nice to have an extension and something that's really smooth. If you're doing a lot of active stuff, you're shooting a lot of sports, you really are going to need to use a gimbal, because even as good as the phone stabilization is, it's not going to get you quite there. And so you're going to need something like this. Anyway, Insta360 have done an awesome job on this. You guys should check it out. If you want to know where to get this, I will put a link below this video in the show description. So please check it out. And we'll give a special thanks to Insta360 for sponsoring this video. It's an amazing gimbal. Go check it out. If you have any questions, drop those below. Until the next video, I'll see you guys then. Later.